All right, here we go. Step one of the installation process. Per the instructions. Yes, I use instructions sometimes. Remove all these wires in this wire caddy. There's a Phillips head retaining screw right here. It's not really a screw, it's a plastic riv nut. Whole thing comes out. Pop it out of the frame. Let it hang. Repeat on the other side. Now we got all of our bolts, now we have all of our wires and cables out of the way. After we have the wires out of the way, we're going to be able to go ahead and slide that nice big MC Baggers piece in there. Let it hang loose. It's not going to go anywhere. We're then going to come in with our frame bracket. This is the piece that holds everything together. Install our bolts with the red Loctite on it. Just hand tightening everything at this point, leaving everything loose so that we can adjust it. Still loose. Still loose. Now we're going to install the attachment points to the main motorcycle, or to the motorcycle. Piece slides right in the top bearing cup that we removed earlier. Put some blue Loctite on the stem bolt. Just start this ever so. All right. Now we're going to attach the through frame bolt. And that gets hand tightened as well. Still loose. Now we need to tighten the stem bolt to 100 foot-pounds. Get this right up to 100 foot-pounds. Okay. Make sure you're holding the motorcycle, got it strapped down, because there it is, 100 foot-pounds. Took all the wobble out of there. So it's locked in now. We need to torque the other bolts that we had hand tightened originally to 45 foot-pounds per the instruction manual. It also says to torque them in a crisscross fashion so that it all draws up nice and square. And you saw that the neck kind of shift there. Okay. Tighten the top through bolt, give that a little bit of, so it takes out a little bit of that play. All right, 45, here we go. That was 39. Get a longer Allen here so that it's easier to get the front bolts. And come back and re-torque. I have to apologize if it seems like we skipped a step. We didn't. My phone just cut off, so it didn't have enough damn space to record everything for you guys. So, brief overview in case it cut off. We tightened and Loctited the 4 bottom bolts. We tightened and Loctited the 1 through bolt. Loctited and tightened the bottom stem bolt to 100 foot-pounds. Added a stem bolt and a washer to the top to lock the entire unit in place. Now we're going to put a cover plate right up in there. With some blue Loctite on it. All right. Now it's time to get these wires to their final home. Clip the factory harness cover off, clip all the zip ties off. Prefer to do it on that side so that nothing, I don't run the risk of cutting through a wire when I do it. Get my panel popper out. Take care of these Christmas tree fasteners. My cover plate with bolts and Loctite. You can see that this kit has a channel built right into it, and what we're going to do is put the cover plate like so. Cover up that bolt head for us. Have everything looking real sexy like. So, wires in there. It's one of the highlights of the MC Baggers kit is the other bolt-on kits on the market don't have the wire routing. You don't see any of the fasteners except for these small 2 little socket cap screws. It's a real nice kit. Next step, I'm going to do a little bit out of order as to what the instruction manual says. It says to, the instruction manual says to place the risers, bushings, ignition switch, everything onto this top clamp. Well, obviously we took our handlebars off as an assembly, so that's not going to work for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the set screw with blue Loctite into the top clamp. Just get it started. Then we're going to install the steering stem, flat spot down. It fits into the flat spot in the machined area. Take your 3/16 Allen, tighten the set screw. I'm going to temporarily place it in the motorcycle. Get out my handy dandy torque wrench again. We're going to tighten it to 15 foot-pounds. There we go. Going to remove our steering stem. And we're going to apply some grease to the new, where the triple trees are going to ride, to the bearing races. Do that on the top. And on the bottom. This is just to prevent any galling. We are going to pack the bearings with grease. They give you brand new bearings to use. They do have a removable dust cap. Don't have enough space. So we have a dust cap in our bearing. We're just going to take this. We're going to force grease down into the edge of the bearing race. And start spinning it. Same thing on the bottom. That way you get 100% coverage. Hold your inner race, spin the outer, back and repeat the process. And we are going to be, at the end of this assembly, we are going to be greasing the neck prior to test riding the motorcycle or adjusting the free play of the neck. But you just want a good coating of grease on these bearings while you're installing them. So there's that. The dust cap. Clean my fingers off here and install the upper clamp. I'm going to grease the lower bearing off camera. Okay, now that we have greased our lower bearing, we're going to slide the lower bearing and dust cap onto the stem, followed by our lower triple tree, our lower triple clamp, and adjuster. You want to hold the whole assembly together as you're drawing it up, as not to bind any of the bearings. Okay. All right. so it's tightened down as a unit. We're going to go ahead and start our set screws into the adjuster. And then we are going to tighten our adjuster nut to 32 foot-pounds. This sets preliminary free play on the bearings. It'll be checked again once the entire motorcycle is assembled. Too little bearing preload, you'll get a wobble. Too much bearing preload, you will get a swimming sensation when you're going through a corner. So we're going to tighten our set screws now to lock this into place. And then we have one more set screw to install. Blue Loctite. And that gets tightened to 15 foot-pounds. Okay, so at this point we're ready for the legs. I'm going to go ahead and build the legs off camera. There will be more videos in the future coming on how to do just the legs, but we're going to build those legs and then we're going to get the rest of this thing put back together. So be right back. Okay, we're back. We're going to start by installing the fork cans, slider covers, whatever you want to call them, onto the motorcycle. A little bit of blue thread locker on the bolts. Hold the slider covers on. And let's see if it is not. Of course not. Get those on there good and tight. And while we have the neck skewed, we're going to go ahead and do the other side. Okay, like I had said before, did things a little out of order, but that was on purpose. So we're going to go ahead and install the handlebars now. I've already pushed the lower bushing all the way up into the frame. take your factory bushing sleeve, push that down into the bushing. They give you a riser spacer. Slide your bushing into that with the sleeve in the middle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our bolt that has red Loctite on it. We're going to use the factory washer and slide our bolt up into the hole. And then going to gently start. Oops, forgot to add our upper washer. You guys have an extra set of hands, definitely make this job a lot easier. Ratchet with a 3/4 inch socket on it. And it's in there across. Okay, so we got the one side started. We're going to come back in, we're going to repeat the same side, or the same steps on the left side. Swing our handlebars out of the way. Now we're going to torque the riser bolts to factory specified amount. Between properly torquing the bolt and using the red Loctite, should have years of trouble-free riding. All right, swing it back and forth, making sure nothing binds. All right, now we're going to go ahead and slide our fork tubes into our triple tree assembly. Get you guys pulled back here. All right. And the only reason I turned that is just to make sure that the legs clear the trees. All right, so we are up all the way. And as part of mock-up, we're going to be paying attention to this spot right here. Once we finally get the weight of the bike on it, the weight of the bike on the front end, we're going to see if that compresses any. If not, we can get spacers to put it up here to slide that leg, to slide that slider cover down a little bit. That was something that we were kind of unsure of going into this project as to whether or not it was going to need spacers. But now I'm going to put my bolts in my lower clamp. And tighten those up. It does give a torque spec on these lower bolts and the upper bolts, but I'm going to hold off on final torquing them right now. I will come back after the wheel is installed and the front end is installed. I'm sorry, the wheel's installed, the fender's installed. Check to see if I need those spacers. And if I do need the spacers, then I have to take the legs back off anyway. Tighten up the top ones. Put in the bottom ones. Run them down with the ratchet. All right. So take these wires, tuck them back up out of the way for now. All right. I'm gonna go get the wheel. Be right back. Before we can put the axle on, or the wheel on, we want to make sure that our pinch bolts in the bottom of these fork legs are loose. So we're going to loosen them up. Wipe down that leg. There we go. That looks better. And then you bring in the wheel. It's a bad bitch right there. It's a Renegade. I want to say it's a Lincoln wheel. It's super dirty. Only had it for about a year. All right, and we need to lower our front end just a little bit. Before all you keyboard warriors get upset out there, This isn't the final fitment of this wheel. Just putting the wheel in to check the mock-up of the fender and the front end and give us an idea of what we're dealing with. I will be pulling the wheel back off. I will be lubricating the axle for final assembly. So no worries about that. Alright, that sounds like it's seated in there good. Wow. And I also will not be using the factory spacers. The other spacers just haven't came in yet. Alright, and then tighten our, cinch our pinch bolts up. Again, not torquing these just yet. This is just for mock-up. Really interested to see what that gap in the front end does on the slider covers. Alright, raise this up. Smooth. Smooth, smooth, smooth. So, alright. So I'm going to get this all adjusted on the lift. Go get the fender. So we got the bike adjusted in the lift. Full weight of the front end, or full weight of the bike is on the frame. This gap here didn't close up, so we went ahead and ordered some slider cover spacers. They'll be in a couple days. First thing we're going to do before we start messing with this fender is going to cover this wheel. Spend all this money on this wheel. It would be a complete and utter shame to scratch it up and have to eat it. Slide this fender in over the top of it. Get our hardware. And fender spacers. Of course, it doesn't work. Have to cut custom length bolts. I just so happen to have a reserve bolts here. Slide our spacer in from the bottom. Half-inch ratcheting wrench. Tighten them down. Come back over here to the other side where the bolts didn't exactly fit. On these nest legs, the back hole on the clutch side is really deep, so we'll have to come up with something. Get us a longer bolt. Pull the drop cloth out of the way. Got plenty of clearance in the front on the tire. There you go. Needs a couple slight adjustments. Going to put the fairing back on, and I'll give you guys a walk around off the lift outside. Yep, there it is, guys. Mock up on the 26-inch build is complete. All that I have to do now is spend tomorrow setting the body gaps, working out any small issues. And then it is off the paint for this guy. Bunch of powder coat. Get those fender spacers on. Man, that thing is just out of control. So look, guys, remember, comment, like, subscribe, and as always, have fun, get out, ride your motorcycle, but above all, be safe. See you next time.